Welcome. Welcome to our third Giving Tuesday live event. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, welcome. For those of you like Joseph, who's coming back for three, this is your three-peat. Joseph from Pennsylvania, thank you for joining us for all three. For those of you that are not familiar with Giving Tuesday, in America, as you know, we celebrate Thanksgiving and then wake up at the crack of dawn on Friday morning and stand in lines to get that television on Black Friday. So it's all about consumerism. Many of you spent Monday doing Cyber Monday trying to get the best deal. So after eating and shopping, today is a day of reflection. It's called Giving Tuesday, and it is the International Day of Giving. And you can give of your time, which all of you are doing right now, watching our live. You can give of your talent, volunteering, or you can give of your treasure, or all three. So we're so excited that you are here. And in the next hour, I've got two amazing guests. I've got incredible videos and stories and anecdotes to share with you. And we are hopeful that while you're here, that you might be inspired to not go to Starbucks tomorrow and send a $5 donation. Not head to the movie theater on Friday, send us that $10 donation. Or maybe not go out to eat dinner and send us a $20 donation. And for those of you that are donating live in the chat room, I will read out a dedication and a donation live for all of us to celebrate. If you are a Freedom Writer and you're in the house, announce yourself. We've got Freedom Writers here in the office. You're going to be responding to you in the chat room. But if you're a Freedom Writer watching from home in your PJs, say hello to our amazing guests coming from near and far. If you're a Freedom Writer teacher, like Freedom Writer teacher Erica, say hello to us so that we can bestow you with love. And if you are a donor, I will say thank you in real time. We just got a donation from Margaret Pollock and her amazing family who runs the Anne Frank LA nonprofit. They donated $100 moments before we went live. So I will be announcing those that are a part of this amazing family. But announce yourselves as well. We want the chats on Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube to be in real time. So say hello, announce your continent, your country, your state, your time zones, all that good stuff. Dan Sackheim, Freedom Writer teacher extraordinaire from Sacramento, is in the house. He works with the California Department of Education. Thank God that the California Department of Education is still intact, although DC is under attack. Different story for a different day, but I'm glad that you're joining us, Dan, and doing all that wonderful work up in Sacramento. So I would like to, I guess I'm going to do my own little drum roll. Oh, I just found out that in addition to our Freedom Writer teachers, we got 3 Freedom Writers who have joined in. So special shout out to Erica, who is in Massachusetts with her adorable son, Josh, a Freedom Writer scholar. Laura Ponce, this is also her three-peat. Laura's been to all 3. Mwah, mwah. We love that you've been to all 3, Laura. And Kanya, this is her 3rd as well. Kanya was our guest this morning. She was in the chat room at our 3 o'clock Pacific time and now the 6 o'clock. So we've got some folks who have stayed with us all day. I hope you had a break, had a little snack. Glad you were back for more. Erica, please give a big squeeze to Josh, who is finishing up his first semester in college and is transforming the world as we speak. So without further ado, and my makeshift drum roll, I want to introduce you to 2 fabulous guests. So on the screen, you will see 2 Freedom Writers, Cynthia and Tony. Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Cynthia is a married woman, so I told Tony I didn't want him playing footsies with her before. They're very close. But they love each other. Tony was our guest last hour with Narada. I know that Narada and Tony did not play footsie. So what I do want to say is this is going to be a little bit of tears and a little bit of comedy because Cynthia, you are hysterical to me. You know that. You know that you are one of the funniest people to me. And when it comes to the comedy hour, so are you, Tony. You, whenever there is a circle of people laughing, as your mom said, you're in the center telling jokes. But you also both sucker punch me and make me cry a little bit. So we might have both. So if you're watching from home, have a little hanky at hand just in case these two stand-up comedians pull at your heartstrings, which they are apt to do. Cynthia, you put in a full day of work.
Yeah.
Drove to our office and sat beside Tony to give us words of wisdom. And I'm so excited we were able to curate some really sweet videos with your sweet face and those fabulous words in them. So I'm so excited that you are giving your time for a cause I know has been a part of your life for 30 years. You started when you were in utero. You started when you were an infant. Sometimes Tony outs us. We'll be at a school and Tony throws down the gauntlet and says his age. And I'm like, because that means they're going to start using fingers, toes, and counting how old I am. And then announcing that I'm a lot older than that woman in the movie. Tony, you two have been with this cause for 3 decades. Bonkers, bananas, beautiful, all of the things. And in this, I have loved watching milestones. Cynthia, I loved that we were at your wedding. Oh, with your cute little puppy. Oh, it was one of the most amazing weddings. I had not got ordained at that point, but if I had been, I would have sold myself to you and say, "Can I officiate?" I'm officiating Ty's wedding this summer, Freedom Rider Ty's. But I love being at your wedding. I loved that later on we're going to show a graduation photo of. Why don't we start now? Why don't we show your graduation photo now? We'll show Tony's and yours. Tony's is very common. People have seen it in the book. Tony's is from graduation of the Freedom Rider Troop. It's in the book. But the glorious photo that we're going to show of you, Cynthia, is of you receiving your master's. Look at that. And I'm moonshotting it, Cynthia. You're going to be a doctor. I know you will. I think it may be a matter of time, but I cannot wait to call you doctor. So take a beat. Take a moment, because I know your master's, with all the scholarships you got and all the accolades you got, took a lot out of you. But when you're ready, I just sense it in my bones. And Tony, what do we say when Miss G says we're going to the moon?
Somebody better call Nelson.
Put him on speed dial, because Cynthia's going to be a doctor. I know it. I feel it. It is imminent. Look at that. If I was your biological mama, I would burst into tears. I feel like your biological mama now. I feel like I birthed you both in room 203. But I am so proud of you, soon to be Dr. Cynthia. So what does it sound like when I say you're going to be a doctor?
It sounds inspirational. All of these things we never thought we could be. And you've always shown us the path, how to get there. So if you tell me that's where then I'm, like Tony said, I'm getting ready to go. So
we're going to the moon.
Tiring. I'm tired already, but I'm ready.
I love it. Well, I love that we've got also some Freedom Rider teachers who just joined. Angelica, who we call the Queen, up in Adelanto, and Laura O'Connell. Laura, she's in Long Island. It is like 9:00 on the other side of this country, and she's hanging in there, probably grading papers for her students. But what I'd love to do, Cynthia, is we sat down with you, and over time we've been making these beautiful curated pieces of Freedom Riders giving advice to kids. And then we have the gift to go into classrooms, both live and virtually, and showcase how resilient you guys are, and how persistent you are, and how honest you are. And so this next video that we're going to show of you, Oh my gosh, get your Kleenex. You are so honest about the trajectory of your life. And I love that you have become this gifted, soon to be celebrated social worker. So I want to say that up front before they see the video, because you are doing God's work right now. Oh my God, you are the partner with all of us that are teachers. And you see something in others that sometimes they don't see in themselves. You offer them that grace. You give them the oxygen to breathe and the ability to start over. So I want to show this exquisite piece that's your backstory. And on the other side, I want people to do the happy dance, because where you were is where you are today. But when you go meet with anyone of any age, of any circumstance, you see possibility, you see promise, and you are the bearer of hope. So let's check out Cynthia before you got your master's. You were still on your academic journey, and I can't wait to talk to you on the other side of this video. So this is Cynthia giving you just a little bit of her backstory.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Ray. I am an educator and an activist and also a freedom writer. There was one time I was like 13 years old and we were staying in this trailer, and that's when I started getting into drugs and alcohol. And so for me, that's how I self-medicated, and that's how I kind of blocked out a lot of things. I had tried to kill myself like a year or two before, and I just knew that I was hurting inside and that not everybody was living like that. My mom is actually the one who initiated the call to the cops. And so when she called the cops and they came and they saw that she was drunk and all this kind of stuff and just how angry she was, they knew that there was a bigger problem. And so that's when I had 5 minutes to get everything I owned, and they were going to take me out of there, and they did. And now I hadn't seen my dad for 5 years, but I memorized his phone number from when I was a kid. And so I called my dad's number, and he answered the phone. And I'm like, Dad, it's me, Cynthia. I'm at the sheriff's station, and they say if I can't come live with you, I'm going to have to go to a foster home. And he goes, okay, well, this have him bring you over. And then it was hard when I had to leave my mom's house, but I knew it was for something better. By removing the shame of these situations, it definitely helps to empower you. Because as long as you're busy trying to hide something, you are not focusing on revealing and becoming something better. You're so busy just, oh gosh, you can't let anybody see this. Oh, you're putting all your effort into that. Once you air your dirty laundry, so to say, you realize it's not that bad, that it was horrific to me, but it doesn't have to define me. It doesn't have to dictate how I live the rest of my life. And that's why talking about these things, putting them on paper, getting them out there it is empowering in itself, because you realize there are other people in the world that have gone through that. It has made me a lot more empathetic to people. It has helped me to understand that you don't always know what happened before. You know, one thing we learned in one of the classes we took at Cal State Long Beach is that stress is cumulative. The way somebody reacts to something today, it depends on what else has happened in the rest of their day. And so these experiences help me realize when somebody's blowing up at you, when somebody is really anti or just pushing hard and doesn't want to hear you, or just angry, you don't know what else happened. To just step back and give them some time to decompress, to kind of mentally digest the situation. That you don't have to be, it doesn't have to happen right now. Like the change that happened with us in Aaron's class was not immediate at all. Even past graduation, I'm sure we've grown a lot, but she planted that seed and she didn't give up on it. And so that's how it's defined me as a person, is I realize that whatever efforts you put forth, whatever you're trying to do to help this up, you may not see what good that's doing today. It may not do any good for years, but one day that little bit of kindness is going to evolve into something more. And that's what I think that has definitely defined me as a person.
Ah, the alliteration you used, Cynthia, of defining and decompressing and dictating and digesting, whew, The English teacher in me is so proud of you for your use of the language, but also your social emotional learning skills is unbelievable. You mentioned you had 5 minutes to call a number that you had memorized for a dad you hadn't seen in 5 years. Thank God he picked up the phone.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Thank goodness so many things happen, in the time, in the moment, you don't see the good in it. But even though those were some of the most devastating moments of my life, it has brought me to all of you here today, to my new family, to a place where I feel safe, yeah, where I can be myself, where I've been able to grow and been nurtured and valued. And it is, it's sometimes the most difficult things in our lives can turn out to be such a blessing.
Mm. I'm getting emotional because I remember you walking in our class, and the term that the cool kids use now is like thirsty. I think I was really thirsty and like desperate. And I love how you tell teachers, when we train teachers, your first reactions to me, because I don't think you knew what to do with me. You came in a little later than some of the Freedom Riders because you were transferred in with that first year with your dad. Tell them what you honestly thought of me. I want you to be as candid as possible because you're so honest with the teachers that here's this crazy woman with polka dots and pearls. What was your interpretation?
It was very overwhelming, and I thought that it was not a joke, but it definitely wasn't above the board. Like,
It was a
something
lot.
more was going on.
Like Miss G on like 10, it's like take it down a couple
Yeah,
notches.
okay, turn it down just a little.
Which is so funny because now when the Freedom Rider teachers walk into our world, you guys become extra. You guys have noisemakers, and I love that the Miss G of the then is now the Cynthia of the now. So what is that like for you, that a teacher will come into our world and you're a little extra?
Yes, it is. It feels good. It's contagious, right? You give it to the next person and they pass that energy, so you find that it builds everything up. So it's a great feeling.
I love it. I also love that you have chosen a profession that honors your origin story. If you were a superhero, not if you are a superhero. You have taken some of that pain, and it's now your passion and your purpose. And I don't think you forgot your origin story. So that origin story is not your kryptonite. It is what I think has made you stronger. So tell us about how you decided to be someone who gives. Social workers have hearts that heal and pay it forward.
Well, I knew from a young age, I've always been a social justice warrior. I used to go to protests with my mom, and so when we then grew and did it as Freedom Riders, where we were fighting for justice on campus and for equality, and it just grew into social work. I knew I wanted to do something where I gave back to people, where I could use my education background and all of the experiences and my lived experience. And I just felt as though social work was a great way for me to communicate all of these things and all of these hopes and desires and joy that I had in myself with the rest of the world.
I love it. I think because you're making us all be in our feels, things happen in threes. 3 people have just donated in a span of 5 minutes because of you. They're handing me all these cards. Our queen, Angelica in Adelanto, just donated. She deals with a lot of babies in Adelanto who are in the social work realm. One of the largest ICE facilities, sadly, is a stone's throw from her school, Mesa Linda. So you inspired sweet Angelica to donate. You inspired Tracy Weber. We're going to be seeing her tomorrow in Hemet. She just donated as well. And she bought shirts for all of her teachers. So Cynthia does rock.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy.
You're on the screen. Cynthia rocks. Thank you, Tracy. And Dan Sackheim. Woo! Dan Sackheim just donated, and he would like to get a Freedom Rider shirt. Who doesn't? want a Freedom Rider shirt. So with the amount of money, Dan, that you sent in, which was a lot of money, we will get you that shirt. I also want to say hello to Henry Wright, who is joining us for our second call. And he just donated. They just keep coming, Cynthia. Freedom Rider Ryan Ponce. I said Laura Ponce earlier. I said Ryan Ponce now. Yes, Freedom Riders are married.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like the craziest matchmaker. I didn't even matchmake that one, but Laura and Ryan are sitting in a tree. I also want to say hello to Samantha, who I visited before in Youngstown, Ohio. So like Samantha, if you were visiting us from another state, another part of the country or the world, tell us where you're at, say hello. And oh my goodness, Tony, this gentleman wants to always believe that he is my favorite. So just give it to him. My sweet Carlos, Freedom Rider Carlos, said hello, Mama G. Carlos, we love you. And
This is the favorite son.
I know our Freedom Rider boys. They're kind of needy sometimes. Should we make Tony and Carlos do rock, paper, scissors, or do we just give it to Carlos?
No, Carlos is the favorite.
Yeah.
You got it. You got a good dog.
Cynthia, you coined the phrase "Pretty Tony." Pretty Tony, and it sticks. He now announces himself as Pretty Tony. And he does it like he'll be like, "It's your boy, Pretty Tony." Tony, he's got a whole shtick. Cynthia, you gave him this name, and he took it to another level. Like there's like, if he could have a cape, there would be a cape.
Oh man, say less.
Did you know you were going to create a monster?
No, not at all. I'm so at first it rubbed him the wrong way, so it made it real fun. But now it's
What do we do with the other Freedom Riders?
Cynthia, you'll love this. Tony and I were just in Mexico City, and I'm not even being hyperbolic or facetious. Tony gets up there in Spanish. I knew what he was saying because it was all in Spanish, and then he did his Tony P, Pretty Tony in English. It was hysterical.
own it. Yes. Lean in.
Lean in. Oh my goodness, our Freedom Rider teacher, Danielle Johnson in Memphis, Tennessee. She just donated. Oh my God, it's amazing. On the screen, it says, "My students call him Pretty Tony too." See what you created, sweet Cynthia.
We're going to see him tomorrow.
Yeah, bright and early. We're going to be in Hammond at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Oh, Erica, it said, if Tony is pretty, then Carlos is ... I like to say that Carlos is delicious. That's my story. Sticking with it. Carlos is my boy. He gave me the moniker Miss G, and now it's Mama G. So I will always covet my sweet Carlos.
Carlos is big bro.
Big bro. Cynthia, I want to show another video of you. This is from your podcast, and it is so hard to interview you Freedom Riders because I just get the ugly Kim Kardashian snotty nose crying in the interview. Part of it's because I'm in awe of you. The other part is the words of wisdom you guys say like extemporaneously. And then my hope is that some teacher in some place hears your podcast, sits down a kid and says, it gets better. You know, the teachers that are donating, they have kids who've been taken away from their parents. The teachers who are listening and donating, they've had to talk to social workers. The teachers who are listening and donating, they have seen the transformation with you to be a scholar, to have a master's, to pursue a doctorate at some. I'm just going to keep saying it so we actualize it and it's in the universe.
Yes.
But in this piece, you were so effortless and easy. So I want to show this piece. I think it really is beautiful compared to your other companion piece. The other one was more about you then. Your podcast is more about you now. So let's see that beautiful podcast. And then I want the other side to talk about what that was like to talk about Cynthia of the now. whenever I am out in the world meeting teachers or students, they always want to know, what are the Freedom Riders doing now? And you are one of the success stories that I love bragging about, because you are a social worker. And I think that just speaks volumes to Freedom Riders going out and fixing and repairing the world one person at a time. So what is it like when I brag about you to anyone and everyone that will listen?
I just remember, I think of you. I think of the footsteps and the things you've done with us, how I get opportunity to show people a life that maybe they weren't exposed to, just like I wasn't. And I remember when you first took me to our college campus, when we went up and saw Stanford, and how those moments changed my life. And I try and take every chance I get with my clients to do things like that.
Paint a picture where you bravely and boldly go every day.
Skid Row is a resource-rich area for people that are homeless. And because it has a lot of resources, like housing, like food, like hot meals, there are a high concentration of homeless people in this area. And when I say homeless, I don't mean people who are sleeping on somebody else's couch. This is where all the tents are. This is where the streets are covered with human beings. So if you're walking on the street. There was the wind, the Santa Ana winds recently. You couldn't walk outside without a cyclone of trash. And so it's so sad, because if you look at everybody and remind yourself that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's mom or dad, it can be very draining.
I love that you said resource rich. You are one of those resources, and you see people like you see them, and you love them back to life. So I love that you go to places that people don't want to go. And when you go there, talk about the grace and the dignity that you extend.
Well, I it's important that I'm ready to go to the places other people won't go, so I can take them to places that they aren't comfortable going. That it starts with me, and I have to, as you always say, model that from the beginning. And so, being able to build trust and build a relationship with people where they trust you and are willing to work with you and follow you is it's just such a gift. And it definitely it keeps my flame burning for this profession, and for my future, when I become a doctor and all.
Do you hear that? I think I heard like angels like actually singing in my ear. We're just, it's a reality. It's a matter of time, girlfriend.
Yeah.
Funny thing, you were graduating with your master's from Cal State Long Beach. I got an honorary doctorate. I'm not sure if mine counts, but I love that we're like soul sisters in our graduation trajectory.
Yeah.
But I love that we're going to speak it into existence.
Yes.
Speak it into existence. Speaking of speaking into existence, you've got some family members here in the house. Freedom Rider Ty, officiating June is here. Top Gun Ian, his podcast just came out. It's fantastic. And Freedom Rider Sarah Capistrant down in Arizona.
Hello.
Hello. And I also want to do a sweet shout out to our Freedom Rider from Dear Freedom Rider. He is the big brother to those 50 young writers. Jaden Braddix is in the house as well. I've been sending him little texts all day. I'm thrilled. And he's joining us from the South. Jaden, let us know where you're at. Are you in Mississippi? You're in Atlanta? Where are you? And for all of you that are joining, let us know if you are a Freedom Rider. Claim it. Let those watching and listening know that you're a Freedom Rider in the chat room. If you are a Freedom Rider teacher, tell everybody in the chat room where you teach and that you're part of our family. And if you are just someone that we're just meeting for the first time, announce yourself. In other calls today, we had guests from Vietnam and Brazil. So we get really excited when there's other continents and countries in the mix. Cynthia, one of the things that you do beautifully is you have this spirit of adventure, and when Freedom Rider teachers come, one of the beautiful things is we have taught in our Freedom Rider bubble 1,000 teachers. Like, that's crazy. We started in earnest 19 years ago, and we have 1,000 teachers. That was our goal. Like, wouldn't that be crazy if we got to 1,000? Guess what? We got to that. And speaking of one of them, Laurel O'Connell just donated. So amazing. Sweet Laurel O'Connell is at a community college in Long Island. But you have met these 1,000 educators from all 50 states and over a dozen countries, and you teach them to lead with empathy, to lead with love. And I'd like to ask both you and Tony. I'll ask Tony first about empathy, and I'm going to ask you leading with love. Tony, you don't like handouts. You don't like pity. So why is empathy so important to you?
I talk to the kiddos about this a lot, and I try to compare the difference between sympathy and empathy. I hate sympathy. I hate it. I always tell the kids, like, sympathy feels like, oh, you poor thing, right? And when you've gone through a lot, that's not what you want or need. Where I try to explain to them that empathy is, I got you, dog. I'm here for you. Right. And and especially when it comes from somebody that has gone through the same thing that you've gone through, sometimes you don't even need to talk. You just knowing that somebody else has gone through the same thing as you, that just makes it okay. And knowing that they're okay, like, makes you feel that you can be okay as well.
Mm. For you, Cynthia, since you are working with vulnerable people who didn't wake up one day and just say, I want to live in a tent in Skid Row. What do you offer these? I love that you call them your clients. Mm-hmm. Such a beautiful professional name, because I'm sure you treat them so professionally. Talk about leading with love with someone who society considers an indigent. Sadly, we don't look at them, and we've seen people clutch pearls and grab purses and cross the street, and you, like a heat-seeking missile, you go right to them. Talk about leading with love.
Yeah. Well, leading with love, it starts with teaching someone or showing them to love themselves. During our intakes, one of the questions we ask are, what are three great things, or what are three things that stand out about you? And so often it's difficult for them to come up with even one good thing about themselves. And then, so I think coming from that place to where they don't even see themselves as worthy is that you're really starting from the foundation up. And people have lost so much of themselves by the time they've reached my door. And so just helping them to pick up the pieces and to really, find value in themselves is one of the bigger hurdles we have.
I love it. Oh my God, we keep having people join. I want to say hello to Freedom Rider Kimberly and Freedom Rider Kim from Ohio. She's retired, but she's not. She was one of the Buffett scholars. She's a Buffett scholar educator. And so she says she's retired with air quotes, but we know how that racket goes with teachers. You don't really retire. You just do more volunteering and more good work. So welcome to the party. Welcome to the family. The next little video I want to show, I love seeing all of the faces then. And we watched this yesterday, Cynthia, and I love that you look really serious and pensive on the bus. I'm going to set the scene. We took our story out of room 203, and we wanted to visit all of the books that you guys had read. We wanted to go to Anne Frank's attic on August 4th because that was the day that she was captured. We wanted to walk on the railroad tracks leading into Auschwitz-Birkenau in Poland. And then we wanted to go to war-torn Sarajevo, and visiting areas where there had been a genocide, I think really brought history to life for you and Tony and the rest of the Freedom Riders. So the video I'm going to show you is a video of the amazing Freedom Riders going to Sarajevo shortly after their genocide And this moment of activism, we were in a room of Croats, Serbians, and Muslim students who had directly been affected by the genocide in Sarajevo. And I love your commentary in this, Tony. And I love the activism of your classmate, Maria, who stood on a chair. And for those of you that are movie aficionados, Maria was portrayed as the character Ava in the feature film. But I love that you guys were in that room having courageous conversations with college kids who were hurting and they needed to heal. And you guys at one point were hurting and you needed to heal. So I want to show this amazing scene of how brave you guys were to go to a war-torn country and how you were able to create a safe space for really difficult conversations to happen. So let's check this scene out. And on the other side, I want both of you guys to unpack that amazing experience.
Bosnia, everything wasn't back to normal when we went. There were still military forces rolling around the city. There were still buildings that were shattered from missile attacks.
I wanted to go home. Just seeing all this stuff that was going on, I was like, man, what am I doing here?
We met up with Zlata. Now she was showing us her town.
While we were in Europe, we organized these town halls where we brought in community members who had been affected by a genocide and by war. The most powerful town hall that we hosted was in Sarajevo.
We brought Serbs, Croats, and Muslims together to enlighten us on the war and on the issues that they had to face.
In every nation, there are some people that they are very extreme, and they make war. And we here make peace, and I'll hope that one day we will win.
During the war, I was wounded twice. How can I say my child, they wounded me. Who? My friends, my good friends, good people. I don't understand.
This guy is pouring his heart out, But it wasn't what everybody wanted to hear.
That sniper will have a child also. And he will say his child, Muslims are enemies. Always. You have to remember that. What can I do?
At that moment, that boy gets up and he talks about the sense of the fact that he can forgive. And I felt the need to say something because I know it so well. And every word that he said was so familiar. And even the look on his face was so familiar because I've had it before, I've felt it before, I've said it before.
Sometimes when things get really heated, it takes a brave person to take a stand on behalf of a group. I think that person for the Freedom Riders was Maria.
I could totally relate when you say that it's hard for you to talk to people that shot your friends and shot your family. I could totally relate to you because that's the way I felt when I was 14 years old. I saw my friends, my cousins, my uncles get shot by white policemen when I was 5 years old. And I remember that like it was yesterday. And I hated white people throughout my whole life because of 2 cops that shot my cousin to death. I remember black people shooting my cousins. I remember Asians shooting my brother, shooting my father. But I remember Stephanie's face, and I remember Henry's face, and I remember Tiffany's face, and I remember Bunny's face. And that overweights anything that I have ever seen in my life, that I have ever heard in my life. So when I go back to my family, I'll be damned if my father ever says anything racist about black people, Asian people, or white people. I'll be damned if any family member of mine ever says a racist joke in front of me. And that's how I'm changing my community. That's how I'm changing my family. Thank you.
Damn. You said it earlier, Cynthia, social justice warrior. I don't think anybody expected us to stand on chairs and bust chops. But what does it mean for you to be a social justice warrior?
That's my call to action, right? All these things, just like Maria said, that happen behind closed doors in the dark. We all in that moment were called to really speak on that. Silence is violence, and I get to speak for those who can't speak for themselves, who really can't speak power to themselves in that moment. And yeah, I learned that day too.
Wow. Tony, I think we just willed this into existence. We're gonna talk about that trip. And our guide with you and Cynthia was the beloved Mel Mermelstein. Such an active, another social justice warrior. And his daughter, Edie, is on the chat. She just donated $500. Oh my God. And Edie, your father is so alive and present in this space. He was our guide and our muse. So Tony, tell Edie how we could not have done this trip without him there, taking us to Auschwitz and holding our hand and being our teacher. I got to be a student. We all were his student. Look in the camera and tell Edie that her father is a part of everything that we do every moment of every day.
I still think about Mel whenever we watch the documentary, because there he is, like walking around, Auschwitz, and he walked in with us. We walked in on the train tracks, holding hands, and he was leading the way. And I stood next to him the entire time, because he wasn't saying, this is where they did this. This is where they, killed them. This is where they hurt them. He said, this is where they hurt us. This is where they wrangled us. This is where they lured us. Like, it's one thing to be there, but it's another thing to be there with a hero who survived it, and not just survived it, but was strong enough to say, never again. I'm gonna take these kids from the hood who have nothing to do with this, and I'm gonna teach them something. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to embrace us. He didn't have to treat us like his children, but he did, just because he has such a big heart. And especially after seeing his artwork and his exhibit and stuff that Edie has collected, it's just so amazing. And just his life in general, him standing up, to the modern day Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan who say that the Holocaust didn't exist. Because of him, that we have legislature that says you can no longer say that the Holocaust didn't exist, because he wrote a letter. He went in front of a judge and he proclaimed, and he said, I was there, I saw it, never again. He's just such a hero.
You talk about leading with love, Miss G. The most thing that stuck out for me was where the woman who grew up there and said that she saw the ash from the crematoriums fall. Yes. And he translated that conversation for us. So for him to have the compassion, to have the empathy for this woman who could have stopped it. And like she said, she felt so helpless, but for him to have that compassion for someone that didn't even care about his life, that was inspiring from that moment for me. Oh. And if anything, and it's giving me goosebumps now thinking about it, Edie. It was an honor meeting your dad, and just to be a part of that moment and to see that, true love can overcome so many things.
Absolutely. We were at Helmno, a camp where they would load people in vans and asphyxiate them and gas them. And the scene Cynthia's talking about is a Polish woman lived next to the church her whole life. And as Tony said, that she saw the smoke, she watched them get in the vans, and she was now probably 80 years old. And she and Mel had this conversation in Polish, and Mel was talking to her in Polish and then translating to us as we were watching this unfold. It was unbelievable, an unbelievable moment. I also want to say thank you to sweet Liz Gonzalez, who was married to Freedom Rider Ricardo. She also just donated, and Ricardo was a part of that trip and that experience. At some point, he's going to be the most amazing history teacher. And I love that you both use the word honor and hero, speaking about Mel, which he is. And I'm going to use present tense is, because he's very much alive in my heart and in my spirit. And I get to watch kids and teachers use that word for the two of you. They call you guys heroes. They call you guys superheroes. They think it's an honor to meet you. What is that like when you hear that word that you just bestowed on Mel, who wrote By Bread Alone, a beautiful book, who was featured in a film where Leonard Nimoy, Dr. Spock, played our friend Mel in a film? What is it like when young people or educators tell you two that you're a hero?
One thing that Mel taught us is that you never stay silent. You always speak. Your words are your weapons, and you share your story. And that's what we've just tried to do. We just keep sharing our story, just like he shared it to us. And it's funny because you never know the kind of impact that you're going to have on people, especially young people, because young people, they can't show emotion. They have to act like they're so unimpressed and stuff. But then later on, you can tell it really hit them. And here we are years and years later, and we still remember Mel, and for everything that he did for us.
Cynthia, does that word make you bristle, or do you embrace it?
I embrace it, but yes, it's a very, high bar when you're mentioned in the same category with such amazing people. And so it reminds me that where I am today is good, but where I'm going to be tomorrow is going to be even better.
When you're a doctor, of course.
When I'm doctor.
Oh my goodness. The next video I want to show you, I want to talk about this incredible donor. I met this gentleman when I used to go to Chapman. I was a presidential fellow at Chapman University, and I met him in a class. It was love at first sight. He became an intern, and then we hired him. And now he is the CEO and founder of his own company. Imagine that. And he was at those teacher trainings. He's been to those schools. And what he's doing now with the company that he created, Summit College Consulting, is he's helping vulnerable kids get into college, find their purpose, to do so with dignity. And he decided this year that he wanted to create the Summit Scholars Program through the Freedom Writers Partnership. And this is a drum roll of all drum rolls. Sweet Josh, our beloved Josh, who was at those teacher trainings in our old office, my beloved Josh, is donating $5,000 for Freedom Writers Scholars. As you all know, every year we give scholarships to deserving first-generation graduates and the wonderful children of Freedom Writers. And so I am so excited that we get to pick so many scholars because of Josh. It's amazing. And if you are inspired by the $5,000 that Josh is giving, or the $500 that Edie gave, or the $5 that someone gave earlier today, it doesn't matter the amount. It's the act of giving that we can then pay forward. So because of Josh, we have selected some kids that we've been working with that come from a continuation school. And we brought a traveling Anne Frank exhibit to their school after we took them on a field trip. I took you Freedom Writers to the Museum of Tolerance. I still take you guys to the Museum of Tolerance all these years later. But we took some really dynamic kids from Yucaipa to the Museum of Tolerance. And then we had this crazy idea that we could bring the traveling Anne Frank exhibit to them, and that they could be the docents. They had some ideas, Tony, right? They wanted to have a fancy bus. They wanted to be ambassadors with cool shirts. They wanted a meal with a survivor, and they wanted to be in the newspaper. And one of them was audacious enough to say that she wanted to be on TV, and they got every single thing they wanted. So I'm going to show you a small clip that PBS aired this summer of our beautiful kids 2 of those kids were our scholarship recipients last year. And some of those beautiful babies are going to be our recipients because of Josh and his incredible donation. So let's check out our Yucaipa kids and this amazing opportunity that they had to bring Anne Frank's story to life in the city of Yucaipa.
Located in the city of Yucaipa sits Green Valley High School, a model continuation high school. There, several students guided guests from the community through a powerful exhibit.
Our exhibit is about Anne Frank and her story. She had a diary for her 13th birthday, and through her diary, we get to learn from her perspective what it was like hiding during the Holocaust.
We're trying to show students that they have a voice and that they have a way to share it with the world in their own journals. And so reading Anne Frank's journal really kind of brought that to light, like, wow, we could do this. And it connects back with the Freedom Writers because they wrote their own journal and they got it published and Anne's got published. So the students are really seeing the value in that writing and the power of their own story.
The students who guided the tours helped put up the exhibit and were trained as docents to share the story of Anne Frank and the events of the Holocaust to the guests that attended.
There's a lot of hateful people in this world, and I mean, I don't even know the half of it, but I've witnessed it, so I know that it's definitely still there. And it shouldn't be, but it's reality.
Everybody has their own life. Everybody has their own dreams, their own passions, and that it's unnatural if you take that away.
We asked the kids to write, and Miss Bailey and I chose one that we thought was exceptional, and we submitted it to our local newspaper and they published it. So he got a byline, so he's a published author. And one of the things that he wrote in response to that was, everybody's always told me I was a bad writer until now. And I really want the kids to walk away with that. And it's not just Hector, it's all of them. They're all good writers. They all have a story to tell. They all have a voice that's important to what's going on in the world, to what's going on at their, in their community, in their life. And that's what we want them to know going forward. No matter where life takes you, your voice is important.
Jessica said it perfectly.
Once guests left for the evening, the student docents were celebrated by the Freedom Writers Foundation and Anne Frank LA. They were given awards, shared some of what the program meant to them, and a special cheers was given to recognize these scholar students who are going to change the world, one word at a time.
Tony, you were there from the beginning with these kids. I know I get emotional. That was a shorter piece of what PBS aired this summer. But Kayla, the beautiful blonde in that piece, Cynthia, her first memories were crawling around on hypodermic needles. And she was taken away and put in the system. When we met her, she had straight Fs. She graduated with straight A's. And she was one of our scholarship recipients. So we're going to ask her to help us this year choose some of these beautiful classmates that we think are really deserving. Some of these beautiful classmates have had to use Narcan on their parents. So sweet Tony, when I think about these beautiful kids and their Freedom Writer teachers, you were there on the bus taking them to the Museum of Tolerance. You were there helping them set up the exhibit. You were there when Kayla graduated and we were those obnoxious people in the audience hooting and hollering. What is that transformation that you've seen, and knowing that Josh is going to help us choose some more beautiful kids? I think I know some of the kids that we're going to have to choose for this year.
Oh man, I get emotional because they're us, when I see them and I see the silly things they do, it totally reminds me of us, when we were kids. And when we went to the Museum of Tolerance, we were in the we got like a coach bus, and they had like leather seats and had a bathroom, and they were like, "There's a bathroom?" Like, like what? Like on the bus, and we were driving through LA. We're driving through like the worst part of LA, and it's all dirty, and they're out there taking pictures. Like, we're in LA, but that's how we were, because all we knew was like, our little 4 blocks, and that's all they know too. And they're, you know, they like they said in the video, you know, Hector said, like, everybody always told me I was a bad writer, and then he ended up in the newspaper, and they're commencement speakers now, and they're growing and they're changing. And sure, we were their guide, but they did that. They were the ones that chose to, you know, to try and to give an effort and to show up. You know, I mean, so many of these kids, just them getting to school is such an ordeal. You know, when the kids, she walks 3 miles just to get to school. And I feel like that alone should be respected, you know, and celebrated. And then now they're, you know, they're graduating, they're going to college, they, you know, and they talk about, you know, that their works are being published, they're you know, they're being, you know, showcased on PBS and stuff like that. And like, and I'm just so proud of them, because yes, we were there for them, and yes, we helped them, but they were the ones that made the choice, and they were the ones that changed. And now it doesn't matter where they go. Their surroundings can be anything, but their mind has changed, and it's never going back.
Cynthia, I might need your help, your professional help, because one of these beautiful young kids is in a group home who sadly, oftentimes when the kids turn 18, they have no place to go. So I think you're going to help us be a guiding light for one of these young men who is published now, who is a part of that docent, because I think he's scared and he wants to stay in school forever. And maybe now you get to be the professional that I get to go to seek help, to make sure this kid has a soft space to land.
Yeah. I'd love to be a part of that. There are a lot of transitional age youth programs that might be helpful to support him.
I love that. The reason we did Giving Tuesday today was to showcase where we are now. You know, a lot of people think that you're the same age as you were on the cover of the book, and you've aged. I know that when we went to see Zlata Filipovic in Sarajevo, she wasn't that 11-year-old kid anymore. She was your age. And she has also grown, but in growing, I love that you guys are still doing the work. You're still paying it forward. And that's what we thought Giving Tuesday was all about, is asking people to come into our world and to give us some time to donate, to help. So I'd like to ask both of you why you said yes to being a part of our Give-a-thon on Giving Tuesday.
Well, like you said, Giving Tuesday isn't just about monetary, it's about your time. And any time that I have an opportunity that I can talk about the impact the Freedom Riders have made to me, and now to the lives of 1,000 teachers and how many thousands of kids, you know, I'm always going to want to be a part of that conversation. So I'm just so grateful that we still have this platform. And you know, you brought up age, but I want you to know we're all the same age now. We've known each other long enough. So
I love that. We've stopped aging. We're going to be Benjamin Buttons and go backwards.
That's right. We all are. So, but just, you know, to have this platform is amazing. And I just like to be a part of it.
Nobody does it alone. Nobody gets through life alone. Nobody becomes a success alone. I know people like to think that they, you know, bootstraps and all that stuff, but nobody does it alone. Through our journey, we always have somebody that helped us. Therefore, we have that beautiful burden to help the next person down the line. We can't forget that. We can't forget that. As hard as things are, as difficult as the world seems, we cannot forget that, because that is, you know, one of the pillars of humanity and mankind. Like, that's what we do. We create families, we create bonds, and we help each other out. And we can't forget that. Therefore, you know, we've always had that burden to pay it forward. You know, you helped us out when we were kids. Now it's our turn to help kids out, and then those kids will help out the next generation. They can't stop.
I love it. Well, for those of you that joined us for one, thank you. For our Freedom Rider OGs that showed up for 3, oh my gosh, we've been at this since 9 a.m. this morning, Pacific time. These lives are going to live on all of our platforms, so you can watch them, you can share. They were all incredibly different. This one, I've had a lump in my throat the whole time. I'm on the verge of tears. I'm so proud of you, Cynthia. I'm so proud of you. Tony, I tell you that every single day. But I don't see Cynthia every day because she's doing, she's on the right side of right. And I think, Cynthia, you are just the gold standard, the platinum standard of what every parent wants to see with their kids, every teacher wants. Your amazing husband gets to celebrate you every day. I know you're a mommy to a beautiful furry friend. And Freedom Riders adore you. They adore you, as do I. So I think that's why I've been on the verge of fighting back tears this entire hour of you are the best. And you're holding up a mirror to all of the kids that we humbly serve. So we thank all of you for tuning in. We thank all of you for donating. It's not too late. It's the holiday season. Even $5 means so much to us. We got a $5 check from an inmate at Attica, and I wept like a baby because I thought about what did this individual do to send us $5? And he just said, if I had Freedom Riders or you in my life, maybe I wouldn't be in a maximum security prison. So thank you for giving of your time and your treasure. Please continue to share a message and pay it forward. We are so proud to have you as a part of our family. Grandma Sue just said she's so proud of you, Cynthia, exclamation point. So in this time of giving, thank you for giving to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye.
Bye.